Riley, nice to meet you. It's
Cute.
it's really cool because I was first introduced to you by Christmas, Bloody Christmas,
Oh, thanks.
and then I saw your name pop up with this, and you were one of the main reasons why I wanted to check this film out, just because I kind of wanted to see, you in a different role.
What else can be done? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have a really interesting catalog. It's like a little bit of everything, to be honest with you, and
Yeah.
this was just a really unique film, and the narrative, the family dynamics. What drew you to the role, and then like outside of that, like how did you kind of prepare? Because it was a very complex film, and your
Yeah.
character in particular was very emotionally complex. So I felt like that
Thank
was
you.
kind of a task within itself.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean you said it yourself, the family dynamics, like that's the reason that I was really drawn to this because it was the first opportunity in a film where I read the script and I was able to potentially play someone that like it has nothing to do with anything romantic. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting because there's typically, and I love romantic scenes. Sex scenes are fun, whatever. Like all the things. They're great, but I've done them. And so I was really interested in this because it's just a story about a brother and a sister and I think that that's so great and I think it's really relatable. Um and yeah, it's very complex. I had to make the decision when I was prepping for this whether or not I wanted to like know all of the answers um, because Michael Felker, our director and writer, has just got this like catalog of answers and backstory in his brain. And obviously, I think upon the first viewing of Things Will Be Different, there's lots of questions that come up.
Yeah.
And so when I read the script for the first time, I didn't have a movie to see. Like I'm just reading the script. So I'm like, hang on a second. I've got some questions. And yeah, I just realized with Sydney, she doesn't actually know much
Yeah.
about any of it because she's got her one goal, and that's to get back to her daughter when it's time to go. Whereas I feel like Joseph has so much more that he delves into. Like Sydney is very pragmatic and goal oriented, and she's coming up with these theories. And um, yeah, that helped make my prep a little easier because it lightened the load a little because I could stay focused on my goal.
Gotcha. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was that's a neat perspective to have because as the viewer, we are kind of with both of you guys, but more so Sydney because it's kind of unfolding for
Yeah.
us and her at the same time.
Yeah.
But with how did with Adam David Thompson, like you guys had like a crazy the relationship between you two, it felt very real and it didn't feel forced.
Yeah.
And obviously it's central to the film. How did you guys build on that dynamic? Because I have a younger sister and it
Oh,
felt very real. Like it felt
oh,
like a almost like a mirror, if you will.
that's so nice of you to say. Thank you. Hearing people that actually have siblings say stuff like that means a lot to both of us. I think I can speak for Adam as well. But yeah, he and I wish I could just say that we were both really great actors and it was really hard to get along, actually. But we had, I think, almost 2 months of prep before we started shooting this. Um, and it was during the strikes. So we got pushed back because of that. And we're like waiting for our waiver and not sure if we were going to be able to shoot. And so we had a little bit of extra time and we were FaceTiming and on Zoom calls with each other, creating backstory. And we were both on the same page with so much of it. And it's weird too, because he looks like my actual brother. So I think I already felt like pretty akin to him. Because he just looks like the brother that I have.
I'm sure that
Um,
helped quite a bit as well.
it did,
Yeah.
yeah. And it helped the connection a lot. And he has a sibling as well. And so we just like really get along. I don't know. It was just we had a lot of time and after we sort of set up our backstory together, we would just like shoot the shit for hours. And then when we started shooting, we actually lived together, which in any other circumstance, I would be like, I really don't want to do that because you want to be able to come home from work and like separate and take a second. But Adam and I would get home from rehearsal or shooting, and we'd just sit around the table and talk for another 3 hours.
Yep.
And I was just like, how do we have this much to talk about? I actually don't understand. Um, well, I guess I do understand. We're both quite yappy. So I guess we both like talking. But yeah, I don't know. Our chemistry was really easy to build on, and the first time we met in person was at the Chicago airport during a
O'Hare.
layover. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was running late for the plane, and he was basically like holding the gate for me, and he's calling me, and he's like, "Get over here!" And I was like, "I thought I had time for a coffee," and I'm running, and I feel like that from then on, that was our relationship. And so it was just like very comfortable, and yeah, he's the best.
That's cool to hear because like when I think of arriving on set, it kind of reminds me of like that first episode of like The Real World where they all like kind of meet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but like at the same time, now with Zoom becoming such a thing, like you do like table reads and stuff like this and build on that. It's kind of neat to hear how like this project kind of came to be because that dynamic it does show you guys put in the work quite a bit.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful for Zoom and FaceTime because we like you said, that familiarity was already there. And then Michael, he wanted us to continue to like have our own relationship and have our own little inside jokes, and he wanted that to be very separate for us so that we can feel like a unit.
Yeah.
And it did feel like that. It felt very much like Adam and I were in sort of our own little bubble, probably super annoying at times because we were just laughing and being idiots. But it was super, yeah, it was great. It was really helpful. And it definitely took the nerves of showing up on the first day down quite a bit.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
I don't really want to give it away or like the ending or how this all works out, but I guess my question is because of what you kind of set up here, I want to know like when did you guys shoot the final scene? Was that early on? Because it's
Which final scene are you talking about? The diner?
yes.
I think that was our last day of shooting.
Okay. That's why I asked, just because it could have been either in the beginning or the very end. But yeah, it just they had a lot of impact. So like you can tell again, like I was saying, like there's a lot of effort from everybody on the team. And this film also too, it's largely dialogue driven with minimal special effects. You
Yeah.
know, how was that difficult? Because like all, we already kind of touched on Christmas Bloody Christmas with
Yeah.
Begos. I mean, that was like a complete they're both lo-fi in a sense, but like
Yeah.
it's just like almost like a yin and yang in all reality. So is that more difficult or challenging at all?
In comparison to Christmas, Bloody
Yeah,
Christmas,
sure.
uh, I would say I honestly they're like such different movies, but I do think in a way similar in the sense that there's so much dialogue.
Yeah, like
In Christmas, Bloody Christmas, we're ripping through that
yeah.
entire film.
Was
Uh,
that improv or like because there's a like especially like in the first like what is it 10 minutes or so you're just like talking and talking and talking. I remember
to
looking
some
at
people's dismay, yeah.
yeah, but I liked it. Like I like Bagos. I think he's like the
He's
future
awesome.
of like full disclosure I worked on VFW.
Oh,
So like I've been a fan of his for as soon as I heard his name.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. It's just he has this like particular style and
yeah.
I mean just like Benson and Moorhead, but like it's both of these films I feel like they exceed expectations. Like they work with so little and deliver so much.
Oh, thanks. That's really nice. Thank you. That's yeah, I mean that's the goal, you
Yeah.
know. With smaller indies, that's always the goal. And that's why I love doing them because especially when you're on set, like you don't know what the hell this is going to turn out like, and there's so much heart in it, and like with Christmas, Bloody Christmas, Joe, you asked if it was improv. A lot of his writing is that way. He's
Yeah.
so conversational. And he allowed us to like, as long as we hit certain points to like work within it, but he would come up to us 20 minutes before we start shooting with the back of our sides written like in his chicken scratch handwriting and
Yeah.
be like, hey, I rewrote this whole scene.
Yep.
And so we have 20 minutes until we start shooting. So the difference, I guess, would be something like that. Like Michael was very um thought out and intentional from the very beginning. And I would say Joe is as well. But he was very open to sort of being like, all right, let's see where the hell we land.
Yeah.
And then Felker has a really good way to like pin down where the emotional landing needs to go. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
hard to explain, but I think the amount of dialogue in both movies is so much, and I like that because I came from a theater background, so it feels like doing a play to me.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and you said you like to talk, so
I know. I can't help it. I when I'm given an outlet to do so, I enjoy it.
well with Felker, I felt like this story is so complex and like he has
Yeah,
this background in editing. So like in a way, it's almost like he's like treating the set like his own Adobe workshop. Like he's like
sure.
putting the pieces together. And you can see it because had he not done it correctly, the film it would just wouldn't have made sense. Like even if you
Yeah.
move one thing out of place, the way I describe it to people, and this is kind of leading to my next question, is like it reminds me of that film Looper a little bit, like with
Yeah.
Bruce Willis, and but you know, oddly enough, I didn't care for that film.
Hmm.
I enjoyed this one, and I think
Yeah.
it was because of Sydney and her brother. Like that was
Thanks.
it. I don't know. It just worked better for me.
Mm.
And I guess ultimately what I'm leading to, sorry, is
No, you're fine.
is how do you
I love talking about this stuff. It's great.
yeah, and I mean these are great films. I mean if they were shitty, it would suck. But
Yeah.
but with this film, how do you describe this to family and friends? Because I mean on things will be different. I mean this is one to be proud of for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we are super proud of it. We also like I just love mentioning this as well. We shot it in two chunks. We shot it in winter in Fremont, Indiana, and then came back in the summer and shot it. And so like it took a lot of time and effort, and I really appreciate you saying that because it like we feel really proud of it, and the team was incredible. But how do I describe this to people?
Well, like like people that are close to you, because I'm sure that like I mean films like that I've worked on, it's like you know I have to give them like the elevator pitch, you know, like it's not even if it's not their style, like I have to sell it.
Isn't that the worst when like giving the elevator pitch that you know is not someone's style to someone in your family?
Yeah, it's like
Because
Thanksgiving.
they're gonna be like, that sounds dumb.
Yeah,
But people love it. Yeah, I think I so the also the term sci-fi is so broad.
yeah,
So when you say sci-fi, people are expecting,
yeah.
I don't know, people expect either
Star
like Star
Wars.
Trek,
Yeah.
yeah, or it's so broad. It's so broad. And so,
And some people immediately turn off the sci-fi, which
yes.
is strange because of how broad it is now.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's, and like people like Alien, that's
Yep.
sci-fi. Like there's so many different facets to it. But my elevator pitch is the way that I got my my family on board was basically like a family drama with time loops. That's like the simplest way that I was able to put it. Um And a lot of people that I spoke to were like, "Oh, like Looper?"
Yep.
And I was
Yep.
like, "Sure, yeah. If that's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of time loops, great."
Yep.
Um, I love Emily Blunt in that movie actually, and she was a big inspiration for me working on this because I think she's so great.
Well, I mean, I I just I guess my idea of saying that I didn't care for it is more so like because I like Emily Blunt as well. How could you not like Emily
Yeah.
Blunt? To me, this movie spoke to me a little bit more and had a little more heart. Um,
Yeah.
but that could
Yeah.
also just be what I'm going through at the time. I mean, there's so many variables when you sit down and watch this stuff.
Yeah, and like if it strikes a chord with you because you have a little sister, like
Yeah,
that's you are the prime audience that we made it for. Like
yeah.
this is Michael Felker wrote this story for his little sister and for his dad. And so I think at the core of it, that's what it is. And you are the person it's supposed to appeal to. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Well, and it's funny too, because I mean, I get these emails constantly, like PR emails, like watch this movie, and like my inbox is always flooded, and for some reason, this one just always stood out. And I'm not
Oh,
sure if it just had to do with, I think it was like the perfect storm of everything that you guys put together. Um, yeah, and you mentioned like the coming back and filming in two times. So it was a small town on a farm.
yeah,
Um, what was what was that like? Like because I'm sure that that's a little bit different than like LA or other experiences you've had. I
yeah,
mean, I've talked to other actors and actresses that have like shot at like camps and stuff, and they actually have to like stay at the camp. So was
yeah.
that like a similar experience?
Ish. It was I really enjoy it. So we sorry to keep bringing Christmas Bloody Christmas up, but
I love that film. So have at
okay,
it.
I just the comparisons are funny. Because I for some reason almost all of the films that I've done have been shot like in a very small town with like one hotel. And Christmas Bloody Christmas was shot in Placerville, California,
Yeah,
which had the one main drag, like the one bar, the one hotel. And so I've gotten sort of used to that being how it goes.
yeah,
And I really like it because it helps because you feel so like isolated and the only thing you have to focus on is the story you're telling. Whereas when you're filming in Los Angeles, I'm like coming home and I'm like, oh, our drain is clogged. I've got to figure that, like it's like house stuff and like folding laundry still while you're trying to prep.
yeah.
Um, so I like being able to focus on nothing else but the movie. But yeah, we were in Fremont, Indiana, and the people's house that we were shooting on is also a wedding venue. And it's this I mean, you can see it. It's this
Yeah.
beautiful farmhouse. Every single location other than the diner was on the property. So like it felt really embedded by the end. Like we knew every single part of that land and that house. Um, and the people that own it, their family owns like half of this town, and they own the movie theater. And so we got to like go to their little movie theater on the weekends, and it was really fun. And they were so kind. And it's out in Amish country, so there were a lot of um, Amish people. I hope that that's the correct way to say that. Um,
I'm from
uh,
Texas. I don't know.
yeah, like we didn't really have to worry about cars passing us on the road. We had to worry about like buggies.
Oh, gotcha.
So we'd be like, up, hold for buggy, and this horse-drawn carriage is just like come. That was pretty funny. Um, yeah, it was really
That's a really interesting like caveat. Like I wouldn't even have thought of that.
yeah. And then we had during the winter portion, which we shot first, which looks so desolate and icy because it was. And that was really helpful with uh feeling that way. Um, we got stuck in an ice storm on a day of shooting and it shut production down because everyone had to get home because it was like I didn't even know ice storms existed, first of all. I don't know why anyone would live somewhere where that happens.
Yeah.
I'm from California, so I was like, what the hell is this? Um, so that was a tough one, but the next day, like everyone was coming together there were trees that have fallen down and electrical fires were happening from like electrical wires coming down. It was crazy. And we got to clean some of the trees up with a flamethrower. It was really funny.
That's wild. Yeah, outside of the film, it sounds like you had a hell of a time.
It was, yeah, it was really good.
Well, it's neat that you mentioned the house, just because, like, I think even in my review for the film, I mentioned that it kind of became a character as well, just because of like it just felt there was a lot of life to it,
Yeah.
and I thought that was a really a huge compliment to Felker, just because he's known for editing, but yet he really knew how to take an something that's not an actor and make it such a crucial part of the film.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that. Yeah, he and our DP Carissa Dorson were like such a magical team together and
Yeah,
they were really able to capture the house in that way. And then Felker obviously being an editor as well.
yeah,
He just knew every shot that he needed and it made the days go by really quickly and because he wasn't sort of like farting around wondering what we should get. He was like, "Oh no, we'll get this. This will make sense." And you were able to trust him really well when he said that we got it because I know that if he's saying that, he can see it in the
yeah.
edit.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It was
what
great.
with Bagos on VFW, it was really cool because like they would shoot a shot and then Josh Ether he would straight up take the shots and start editing on set. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit. Like
Yeah.
how soon are you trying to like because I think they were working with Fangoria at the time.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
mean it was delivered. I mean hell, like a month later, 2 months later, like I was
Yeah,
like,
those guys are so fast. They having Josh on set is I mean, he's such an incredible editor and we also had our on-set editor as well, Becca, for Things Will Be Different. And
yeah,
similar thing, like Josh would go away and start cutting it just to like know what we need. And then same with Becca, she'd be like, "Hey, I think we actually need one of this. That would be helpful." Um, I think every set should have an editor.
which is weird because it's not normal. And like
No, it's not.
when I saw that, I was blown away.
Yeah.
I work in production like for my 9 to 5, and that's something we're trying to implement like daily as well on our
Oh, great.
productions. So it was neat to see it in practice, just because I had never seen that before. But
It
with
makes such a difference.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the film turned out, all of these films turned out so much better because of which. And on Things Will Be Different, like, I guess to kind of put a cap on it or put a feather in it, however the hell you want to go. What do you hope audiences take away from this? Especially in terms of like sibling relationship. And, there is a lot to be said about the relationship element, but there's like, I thought it had a really interesting commentary on time, reality, and what do you want audiences to get from this?
Um, for me, I mean, probably what I get from it, which is, like we have such a finite amount of time here. I don't know if this is about to get too dark or deep, but
Let's
we
go.
we have such a finite amount of time here. And with Sydney and Joe's relationship, they spent such a long time without talking, and Joe's got so much guilt about that. And I can relate to that. Like I've got multiple siblings. We've gotten in arguments and haven't spoken. And I think perspective that it gives you is like none of that is really worth the time away. Of course, you can set boundaries. Um, but I just think like time our time here is done like that. So I think if this urges someone to maybe call their best friend or call their sibling who maybe they're just being stubborn and haven't spoken, like I just think get everything out in the air, get it out in the open. Um, yeah. I don't know. That's what I get from it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I guess to change pace a little bit, I do have one more question about Christmas, Bloody Christmas, to kind
Yeah.
of, Halloween's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Then we got Christmas. This is kind of became a holiday staple. Like Shutter, every time I log in the my Fire Stick, it's like you like it's always recommended. I don't know if that what that says
Oh,
about
great.
what it says about me, but um
Your algorithm, yeah, it's very,
yeah,
very spot on.
it works. But you know, has that fan reaction of that character in this film influenced your career? And do you ever think that we'll get to see Tori again, maybe like in a sequel or
I hope
can
so. I
because
really hope so.
the writing's on the wall. Like it,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we got to talk to Joe about that. I think he was flirting with the idea. And then, he made a quarantine movie that ended up taking 4 years called Jimmy and Stiggs that just came out, and it's
yep,
so fun. And I have a tiny, tiny, tiny role in it. Um, so now that he's got time, who knows? Maybe I think it would be really sick if Tori came back in the sequel with like a robotic hand
yeah,
or her fingers. I just think that would be kind of poetic as well. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's the fan reaction to Christmas Bloody Christmas has been overwhelmingly positive. Obviously, it's very divisive review wise, but I think in terms of people enjoying Tori, it's been really lovely.
yeah.
And I love her so much, and I would love to get to play her again. So yeah, hopefully I can elbow Joe hard enough to start something. Because I would, oh yeah, unfortunately, I was about to say I'd love to work with Sam again, um,
Yeah.
but I can't because he's dead. So yeah,
Maybe he could do like one of those Adam Green things and like bring him back as a different character or something.
that'd be great because I love working with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope so. I also love like it being technically a Christmas
Yeah.
movie. I love that it has a resurgence every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's really cool about it is it gives you an excuse to revisit it. And
Yeah.
my mom actually she's like, "Hey, have you seen this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah,
Did your mom watch it
yeah,
on
yeah,
her own?
yeah." My mom and dad like every couple nights they'll have like their own little movie night, and then she'll text me and like talk shit about like the movies that she watched versus the ones that I watched. And she suggested it. She's like, "Yeah, it's like right up your alley." And I because she loves VFW, so I'm pretty sure that like
Oh, great. Okay.
she I'm like, "Yeah, it's the same guy." And she goes, "That explains why it was good."
Oh, good on her. Oh, thanks. That's really
Cool.
nice. I love the idea of someone's mom putting that on. I at the we had a family and friends screening for that, and I forgot about so much of what is in it. And my uncle was there, and my dad was there, and I was like, they never need to watch this movie again.
Yeah.
I didn't need to subject my family members to this.
Yeah.
Because I forget that it's me that they're watching do that. But that's
Well,
what we do.
don't you have like a couple other like Christmas movies on your catalog so that I mean they can always check those one out for
Yeah, I'm like, go to those ones.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
palate cleanser. But
Yeah. I
Riley,
don't think my dad could look me in the eye for like 2 weeks after Christmas.
I was acting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, Riley, I truly appreciate the conversation. It was a
Yeah.
blast to get to know you. Here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing, and you are doing just fine. So thank you so much for your time,
Thanks.
and we'll see you in Christmas Bloody Christmas too, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope. Let's hope. Thanks for the great questions too. It was so much fun.